Hello, everyone. Once again, this is Dare to Speak. And I noticed lately on my last two videos, Old School Spanish Cobras and Latin Kings, and Latin Kings almost killed me. I wanted to do another video to talk about more of the history. In this particular one, I'm going to talk about more on the history of the Latin Kings. I talked about myself growing up with them during the 1980s and about up until 1991. And I saw how a lot of them ended up in things like that. And this was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, when I first knew about them when I was in Kosciuszko Middle School, 7th and 8th grade, and South Division High School from my freshman year to senior year. I knew a lot of people that were in the gang as well as affiliates. And again, I wasn't really real good friends with them, but I kind of knew them and I got along with them. The thing is, I do a lot of research, and I know that the Latin Kings of today, and this is for all of you who's watching, especially if you're between the ages of 14 to 19 years old, just to let you know that you should be more aware of your actual history of the gang and what it really stood for when they first formed back in 1962 or possibly 63 or 64. They first formed as a social group, like a social club, because they wanted to band together a lot of these Hispanics in order to fight against discrimination by racist white people that had power, by crooked cops, which still exist today, right now as I speak. But it was worse back then. They formed together and they actually got involved with the Black Panther Party, the Ghetto Brothers, and all other gangs, Savage Skulls. I mean, they weren't exactly with them because they were from Chicago, the Latin Kings that started there. And I don't think there was any Latin Kings in New York. But the Savage Skulls and other gangs, they pretty much formed together. But the point that I'm trying to make is, back then in the early 60s, they formed together only because of the fact that they, like I said before, they wanted to fight against discrimination. So they were no different from other gangs from New York that banded together, who joined the civil rights movement. In Chicago, it was no different. And I don't think that Latin Kings of today are even aware, or like I said before, even give a shit about it. They're just so fucking ignorant. Even the ones that jump me, that try to kill me. I mean, I don't have any hate anymore. I don't give a shit about hate. I gave up on hate a long time ago. I don't care about it. So even the guy who got 10 years for almost killing me and this and that, same thing with you. I don't have any hate. Because what the fuck does hate do? What the hell does it help? It doesn't do shit but create more problems. I know you probably had a fucked up life. You probably got fucked around with or whoever else. I'm pretty sure you had it rough. But a lot of people that I knew had it rough. And being angry at life and just saying, fuck this, I don't give a fuck about this, I don't give a fuck about that, that shit doesn't help. You might not give a shit about what I'm saying right now, that's fine. I don't care. But I don't hate anymore. I don't give a fuck about hate. But my question to you is, do you know the Latin King history? At least I do my research. Back then, they actually gave a fuck about helping the community. They were a social club back then. And what really brought them down, which made them into the gang they are today, all notorious and greatly feared by the communities around, was because of the government and people that were involved in it. They know that the civil rights movement, and they know that banding together to help the community was going to create problems for all these people in power, whoever they are. I don't know. I'm not going to mention names because I honestly don't know exactly who. But they found the Latin Kings as a threat. They found other groups that were joining up with them as a threat. So they poured drugs into the community. They did whatever they could to make everybody believe that Hispanics were a bunch of fucking piece of shit thugs. And you know what? They accomplished that. It's not your fault. It's the fault of those motherfuckers that brought you down. They're to blame for it. They were to blame for it back then, and it still survives to this very day. The only thing, my message to all of you is, know the history, because if you create peace back then, if you could actually help the community back then, you can do it again. You can do it again now. For all Latin kings, for all Spanish cobras, for all maniac Latin disciples, from the founder of Albert Hitler Hernandez, who was not even a punk, necessarily. If anything, he was probably a laid-back troublemaker, but he wasn't a real punk. These gangs back then were completely different. They all started off as a group of kids. They just wanted to band together to fight against racism, to protect their own, to protect their black, to protect their families. So it's not exactly your fault you ended up that way from generation to generation. However, just be aware of it. Be aware of it, man. I give up on hate, even though I was never in a gang and things like that. But my message to you is, know the history and learn from it. So to all of you, take care.